Hello everybody, welcome back to the channel. My name is Larry Bodenheimer and today we're taking a look at ACRStealer. Now, ACRStealer is a family of remote access Trojans which are actually fairly new. I believe the first one came out in March of last year, 2024, and this particular sample is only a few days old. As you can see, there's a lot of things that aren't detecting it. We're going to take a look at it in the Threat Insights portal, courtesy of Nike Analytics. Then we're going to go over to VirusTotal, because there is something I want to show there really quick. And then we'll run the malware itself. So the malware name we have is Adobe IPC Broker.exe. I wasn't entirely sure what this was pretending to be, so I looked it up, and this is actually a backend process for the vast majority of Adobe products. I will explain why I bring this up in just a minute. Last analysis was 8 minutes ago by yours truly. Size is 16.49 megabytes, uploaded by me, and a reputation of -1. If we go down here, we can see that Reversing Labs gives it a goodware detection. Okay. Cyber Fortress gives it a malicious confidence of 81.4% with tag of malware. VirusTotal has 13 out of 76 detections. As you can see, they have no popular threat label because the malware is that new and that unique. Hatching Triage gives it a malicious ranking of 8 out of 10. AnyRun gives it a malicious ranking of 100 out of 100, so 100%. Threat level of 2, malicious activity. Kaspersky OpenTip says it's clean with no threats. And UnpackMe says it has no AV detections. If I go to details, we're going to show the file identifiers. So here's your MD5, your SHA-1, and your SHA-256 for the video. Again, this will be in the comments section down below, so if you want to follow along either during or after the video is over, that will be your chance to do so. Now, as we can see, several things here have just flagged it as clean. Only 4 out of 7 have given it any malicious ranking, which is a little disappointing, but also not surprising, because this is very unique, and another reason I'll get into after we take a look at VirusTotal. So if we go to VirusTotal, we can see that there are 13 out of 72 detections. However, neither Bitdefender or Kaspersky has a detection for it, which is very interesting because this is the first video we've done on the channel where neither of them detect it. And Microsoft does. So this is an unfathomably rare Bitdefender and Kaspersky L, while an unfathomably rare Microsoft W. The other AV companies that are detecting this, I'll give them a pat on the back really quick. BCAF Pro, CrowdStrike Falcon, Cylance, Deep Instinct, Elastic, Grid&Soft, McAfee, Microsoft, Symantec, Trapmine, Trellix, Webroot has a detection for it. There's a lot of weird things going on here. Probably the worst scanners that we could think of. The worst popular ones, of course, McAfee and Symantec. And then Webroot has a detection for it as well. This generic, so keep that in mind. But when they never detect anything, and now they're detecting this, I don't know, man. Do with that as you will. And Yandex. And that is going to be about it for VirusTotal. We can see that Jaffa Cakes, Nike Analytics, and Joe Security have all been here. Joe Security does call it ACRStealer. Jaffa Cakes has no family label for it. And Nike Analytics, I don't believe, has a family label either. They just have Stealer. So now we've taken a look at that. Let's go ahead and take a look at the malware itself. So if we click on Properties, we'll go to Details, and the file description and product name are both Adobe IPC Broker. File version and product version are both a realistic looking version. The copyright throws me off a little bit, but that may actually be what an Adobe copyright looks like. I'm looking for the copyright symbol, but it may not be there on Adobe products. Who knows? Copyright 2021, Adobe Inc., all rights reserved. Size of 16.4 megabytes, probably wouldn't throw me off. And original file name of Adobe IPC Broker.exe. So here's the other reason that I bring up the name, and I've referenced it several times. A couple times on this channel, we've seen very realistic looking malware, and I have always talked about whether I would fall for it or not. And there's always been reasons I said I wouldn't fall for this because the copyright looks weird, or it has invalid signatures, or it has a signature and no details. This is probably the first time not only in my videos, but also in my entire like malware analysis career, where I say I would fall for this, right? Now, the vast majority of the time, Trojan, you run it, it doesn't pop up anything, just runs in the background. You usually get suspicious, right? But this is meant to be a background process anyway, so it's not meant to show anything when you double click it and run it. This is extremely scary, extremely tricky, and I'd probably fall for this. But we'll go ahead and close this. Last thing we'll do is show our running tools. We have System Informer, Wireshark, Zooey, and Process Monitor. I'll go ahead and clear Process Monitor because it's killing my RAM usage, I already know. We will go ahead and reset the packet capture for Wireshark and move it over here. Continue without saving. Minimize that. UB on the left side is fine. You're on the right side, and Zooey's in the middle, as all things should be. Now, oh yeah, before we run the malware, sorry, I have to piss off the entire Win9x community. Go over here, set images desktop wallpaper. Perfect. All right, now, without any further ado, let's get System Informer ready and run some malware. Now, I'm going to run it as administrator. It does seem to work perfectly fine whether you run it as admin or not, but for the video and testing purposes, I'm going to run it as admin. Do you want to allow this app from an unknown publisher to make changes to your device? Sure I do. So we see it running down here. Again, it's not throwing up any window, but you wouldn't expect it to. Now, if we keep an eye on it, it does do some quite interesting things, and some things that probably would be just appealing to watch. So we do see that it is loading in the background. We've got the little Windows 10 hourglass. We've got an elevation service, and it opens Microsoft Edge. Now, at this point, I thought it was just Luma during testing, because it opens Edge, closes it, does nothing else. But then it closes the browser, so it closed Firefox. And if we let it keep running, it opens this KSHEICC converter.exe, closes the original program, opens a dashboard.exe with a Windows Vista looking icon, and then it's running that command exe and that con host under the program that looked weird in the background as its own host process. And now we've got an updater.exe. So there's a lot of things that we definitely want to take a look at. Hopefully all of those running processes were running full time and have not been removed from the computer. But if they have, no big deal. We can do another screenshot and look at it again. Now, one thing you definitely want to make a note of, explorer.exe is running under that command prompt. Now, this does seem to be the legitimate explorer.exe file. However, just the fact that it's running at all is very suspicious. Yes, that is the actual explorer.exe. If we take a look up here, we can see there's two more explorer.exes running under services. That may not necessarily be malicious on its own, but I'm not seeing any fake service hosts or anything like that. They all have host process for Windows services. If there's any that's missing a description or has a different description, that's what we would be looking for. However, it does seem that the malware has actually done all that it's going to do. So now we're going to open up Process Monitor, and we're going to do two filters. So the first filter that we're going to do is process name is Adobe, not typing all that, no, shut up, Adobe IPC Broker, and then operation is create file. So we'll click add and apply. We've already got almost 4 million events, but as you can see, we have 1,336 events from Adobe IPC Broker. Let's see if that's expanded enough for all these processes. No, we're going to go ahead and shift this. I'm going to move it to about here, so if anything malicious does open, we'll still be able to see it. And now we've only got one Explorer.exe running under services. Coincidence? Maybe. Alright, now I can expand path over to here. Beautiful. And now we'll take a look through some of these. So we're going to want to keep an eye out for those executables we saw running in System Informer. They may be variants of the same malware, or maybe different malware entirely. So let's go ahead and take a look through Process Monitor. So immediately we see a bunch of DLLs that are being called restart manager.dll. That's interesting. ntsn1.dll. It's calling some crypt DLLs. That's fine. Not really going to spend too much time on that. And we keep looking through here. More DLLs. It's accessing the inet cache. All right. It's accessing the ESE folder and inet cookies. We keep going through here. We're in the local low directory. I'm also looking for anything that may indicate persistence, like accessing start or anything like that. DHCP service.dll, interesting. WebIO.dll, okay. Now we're in cryptnet URL cache. All right, and then we've got some Internet Explorer things going on here. And here's the thing that makes me think that this is just another copy of Luma. However, if it is a copy of Luma, it's a very modified version of it. Because these are typically the things you'd see with Luma. So we've got a bunch of browsers, but even the browser list is different. So we've got new things here. I won't go through all of them because we've seen the Luma list a billion times. But we've got Chrome Unstable, Chrome Dev, Chrome Beta, Chrome X or SXS, sorry. Then we got some new ones, Kmelon, Cometa, Libao, Kipsurf, Nichrome. Those are all new. Elements browser, never heard of that. And then we're going through Microsoft Edge again. And then we're going through a bunch of Edge data. So we may see that towards the bottom, but notice how we haven't seen anything to do with FTP or SSH. That's typically seen in Luma as well. And so far, we haven't seen anything like that. Doesn't mean we won't, but just keep that in mind. And if we keep going through here, we've got EADP data component, Edge cloud configuration, Edge shopping, Edge travel, Edge wallet. I didn't know Edge even had a crypto wallet. Graphite Dawn cache, Origin trials, safe browsing, safety tips. So it's accessing everything to do with Edge. And then it's looking for Opera, which we don't have. And obviously it's not going to be able to find any of this with Edge because I don't use Edge. We got the browser. But now we've got things to do with Netgate Technologies Blackhawk, Torbro, and Thunderbird. And then it does seem to be accessing the typical list of wallets. However, this is a very expansive list. So we've got Bitcoin, Binance, Electrum, Exodus, Anon Coin, BBQ Coin, DevCoin, Digital Coin, Florin Coin. These past 5 are all new. Franco, Freecoin, Goldcoin, G Infinite Coin, IO Coin, LX Coin, Litecoin. This is an entirely new list. Because with Luma, I think it detects like 5, 6, maybe 7 different wallets. It's definitely doing a lot more on this. Mincoin, Namecoin, Primecoin, TerraCoin, Yacoin, of course Dogecoin, Electron Cash, Multi-Doge, I've never even heard of that one, Daedalus Mainnet, Coinami, probably more wallets, and then, sorry, as you can see, we do have some FTP clients. So Dash Core Armory, I'm not even sure what those are. It's looking for Telegram Desktop, the Bat, so we're going back to those email clients. And it looks like we do have the FTP stuff here as well. Although this is a new list too. We've got FTP Info, Ultra FXP, NetDrive, FTP Now, FTP Getter. These are all new. And it's looking for Notepad as well. And now we've got some things that I didn't even see. I don't remember seeing DQ. Actually, you know what? That's just a folder. That's not an executable itself. That's just a directory. And then we do see that it's calling these other things. So it looks like it was hiding these executables inside of a folder that looked like an executable. If we jump to it, it's still here. Now it did run this fake audio file. And if we hover over it, okay, I swear I saw a little more than that, but okay, maybe I'm tripping out. But we do have this Kshiak converter.exe. We look at the properties really quick. King Shipper, HEIC. So it looks like a standard converter. May actually be a legitimate program. Very interesting. And then there were a few more that I saw, but that may have been dropped by Kshiak Converter instead. We've also got a dashboard.exe, which I didn't see run. Oh, wait, that was the Windows thing. Okay, so if we look at that, we go to details, Windows Live Installer Client Executable. Digital signatures, Microsoft Corporation. Says digital signature is okay, but of course I am going to scan every single one of these. Not in the Threat Insights portal though, because that would take forever. Now I'm wondering, since it closed Firefox, if it actually did anything to prevent us from using VirusTotal. So maybe it modified local proxy or modified the etc file. But we'll take a look at that right now, actually, because I'm interested. And we need to scan dashboard and cache converter. Okay, so it did open both of our browsers, even the one that I closed earlier. Maybe it just needed to close the browser to install what it was trying to? Who knows? Let's try... What was it? Let's try that, yeah, dashboard.exe. We'll do that first. And if we go to community, Joe Sandbox gives it clean. Well, then they give it malicious. FileScan.io says it's suspicious, but Jaffa Cakes as well says it's a threat of 1 out of 10. So nobody really has what's the word I'm looking for? Nobody really has a good way of dealing with this. If we go to relations, does it have any suspicious files? It has a bunch of malicious communication parents, but that doesn't make it suspicious on its own. 38 contacted IP addresses. Only 2 of them have any rankings. This is Microsoft, and this is, I don't know. Does drop some files, but they've all either never been scanned or they're safe. Virus total standards, of course. We do have 1 detection from Yummy Hunter as malware, but no IDS roles and no Sigma roles. Very interesting. Okay, we'll come back to that. I'm going to duplicate this one, and then I'm going to upload the cache converter. And this looks to be legitimate as well. No community posts, but it's not being detected by any AV. 2 execution parents, which are malicious, though, or show up as malicious. 100 bundled files, and the vast majority of them haven't even been scanned. I'm going to assume that cache converter and dashboard both are safe, but I think it dropped one more thing, didn't it? Okay, there's really no point in looking at cache converter or dashboard, but I'm going to try to open it really quick. And if we do, it doesn't do anything. We don't even see it open in the background. We do have 3 explorers again. I have done nothing to warrant that. You know what? Yeah, that didn't have anything to do with it. Just want to make sure really quick. Very, very interesting. Okay. Well, now we'll be able to take a look at... Why is nothing minimizing? Stop it. Now we'll be able to take a look at... We'll pause this too, just so I don't run out of memory. At Wireshark. So we have 30,000 events or packets captured. We'll go ahead and save this as 1.pcapng. We'll start a new one just in case, because I like to be thorough. And we'll do import data, documents, and we'll let this run in the background. And I'm very interested in, you know what? Just really quick, I will go ahead and shove that in here. So we'll delete this Adobe IPC broker. And then I will do dashboard.exe in its place. We'll look at these one at a time. And then while it's doing that, I think we've really covered everything else that we want to. Oh yeah, let me take another look at the PCAP. I'm going to open it in another Wireshark instance. And I want to see if I could find anything that immediately just catches my eye. So we'll go through this really quick. We got a bunch of gray down here. That all looks okay. Oh, here we go. 52,204. All right. We'll keep that in mind. We've got a 13 that's doing TCP retransmissions. Kind of sus, but not anything that immediately jumps out to me. 13,107,42,16. Okay. Do. Let me just go to here really quick. We've got a bunch of resets acknowledgements. Okay. 34 is Google Cloud. That's fine. The other two, interested in, definitely. And keep in mind, just because it's Google Cloud doesn't mean it's safe. We've seen a lot of malware samples that use Google Cloud for C2. I'm interested in this one with a 0.36. So I'm going to take a look at virus total really quick. We'll go ahead and just open from here. And I'm going to take a look at its communicating IP addresses. We go to relations. We've got a bunch here. They're 104s, though. And the one I'm looking at's a 108. It doesn't seem to have any communicating 108 IP addresses, at least according to virus total. Okay. A 77, a 239. I haven't seen anything with that. But we've got 104.21.1121, and then we've got more that are in like a 16 pattern. So I tell you what, I'm going to do IP ADDR equals. Let me bring this over to one half of the screen as well. And we're going to do 104.21.1121, or does it work like that? 104.221.16.1. No, I don't think it does. I know the double ampersand works. Oh yeah, look at that. We do have a bunch of traffic that's being sent back and forth. You got a client hello, a server hello. So you're definitely communicating, but the very last one is reset. I probably wouldn't have even noticed this, but these are probably a chain of malicious command and control servers, as opposed to clean command and control servers. But I did just want to take a look at that really quick. Now we can close that, and let's see if Zooey picked up anything delicious for us. Let's go to Zooey, and let's query the pool. 863 total rows. I'll probably skim through the vast majority of the alert 3s, because it's usually just something messing up with the IDS and IPS filters, like Suricata Stream Fin 1 Fin with wrong sequence, and then a bunch of stuff here, just iterating the same stuff. If we skip through this, do we see any alert 2s or alert 1s? Not really. We got some HTTP stuff. And that is for, what's the website? Okay, that's just a public key interface, or private key interface for Google. And this is the same? Maybe? Oh, this isn't a freaking HTTP. Thanks, brain. Thanks for making me look stupid in front of the entire internet. Yeah, these are just certificate authorities. Yeah, I'm not seeing anything that's jumping out. Not even any notice. Oh, wait. We got an alert too. ET info observed temporary file sharing service litter.catbox.mo in TLS SNI. Potentially bad traffic. Interesting. Okay. And of course, he's not going to tell us anything. Capture loss. It's fine. But that's the only one. Nothing that immediately just says, hey, a C2 server was spotted. Or, hey, this did something very malicious. Or, hey, your mom's fat. But we'll take a look at the dashboard.exe really quick. There's 422 events, but even with that besides the case, we'll just skim through it really quick. See, it's accessing this isostasi.mp4. And of course, if I try to play this, it's not going to have any audio. We try to play it, file is unplayable. So it's definitely got a converter that's converting it from MP4 to something that it can use. And of course, if I upload an MP4 to VirusTotal, it's not going to tell us anything, so we'll just move on. But I am very interested in those. Got a cabinet.dll, pdh.dll, tdh.pll, and it's accessing stuff in the 6well64 directory. GUPM dashboard.exe. That's in the roaming directory. That's not where we saw it the first time, was it? It may have been. No, that's right. We saw it in this, it was in my user folder, and then a random string.exe, which was actually a folder. Obidentiary.accdb, so a database file, a prefetch that's been accessed. Interesting. Okay. And that didn't come from me running the file again, because we run it after I pause the caption process monitor. I'm pretty sure. But nothing immediately just jumping out at us, except for a bunch of DLLs. And that converter, there's no point in looking at it. I can just tell from the kind of files that we have on here, it's a legitimate converter. So there's really no point in looking at that. We'll go ahead and minimize that, though. And I think the last thing to do is just to restart the computer and see if this has any sort of persistence. Now, in this case, we've not seen anything that really indicates it would have persistence. We could cheat and take a look at behavior on virus total. And with only a medium sigma rule and 2 low IDS rules, I doubt it has persistence. Browser started with remote debugging. That was probably when it started Microsoft Edge. Load of restart manager.dll by an uncommon process, which is what we actually saw earlier when we were looking at the main file in process monitor. Matches role HTTP inspect invalid status line. And etinfo observed Google DNS over HTTPS domain. Odd. But I don't think this would have any persistence. There's really nothing telling me that it would, so last thing we'll do is we'll just go ahead and restart all of this. There's really no point in even looking at Wireshark, because even if the C2 is still active, like the connection, we're not going to be able to pull any info off of it. I mean, we'll look really quick. We're looking for anything with a 16, 32, 48. Just remember, it's in like 16 increments. But yeah, I'm not seeing anything. And I'm not going to scroll through all of this, so we'll just go ahead and stop it there. Close everything so that it doesn't prevent me from restarting the computer. Close all of these folders, because I've seen stranger things stop it from restarting. And we'll go ahead and restart the computer. Please don't blindside me with an update. Okay, thank you. Now we'll go ahead and boot back into the computer, and then as soon as possible, I will open System Informer, and we'll see if anything is running in the background when we restart. Let's go ahead and quickly go to Video Tools, System Informer. This opens unfathomably quickly. And we'll look over here. Yeah, they are actually running in the background, but this time, they're running under Service Host, which is actually under Services. And it actually opened twice. Now it's running under DLL host. And it's running dashboard.exe and the Kshit converter. And then once those close, these come down here as their own parent processes. Updater.exe. That was one more that I wanted to take a look at. And you know what? Just for gets and shiggles, we'll take a look at the explorer.exe too. Just to be thorough. So I don't expect it to find anything with Updater, but I'll look anyway. And Updater is probably being run by Kshit converter. Doesn't look malicious. Last analyzed a month ago. No community posts, but if we go to behavior, do we see anything that jumps out at us? No. No detections, no Sigma rules, no IDS rules. Relations are all okay. That's a Microsoft IP. Only one execution parent, which as far as we know is associated with the malware we're running today. And that's about it. And for gets and shiggles, you know, explorer.exe. I'm sure nobody's ever heard of that. Surprised there's no community posts about it, but it does seem to be safe. And it's explorer.exe is running on its own again. And that's about it. So does have persistence, making this a very nasty rat instead of just an info stealer, which is another thing that proves that this is not just a random sample of Luma. I just realized Microsoft Edge is on the desktop now. That's really interesting. But yeah, that also proves this isn't an instance of Luma, because Luma doesn't have persistence. It's just a simple info stealer, while ACR stealer definitely does. So at this point, you got to find yourself some anti-malware. Got to get an emergency kit or a power cleaner. And in this case, if you got it and you're using Bitdefender or Kaspersky, this is just the 1 in a million time where you have to hold the massive L. There's just really nothing else you can do. But either way, that's going to be it for me. My name is Larry Bodenheimer. You guys have been amazing. If you're new to the channel, please make sure to leave a like, subscribe, and leave a comment. And definitely let me know if there's anything I did not do in this video that you guys want to see in future ones. I'm out of here. You guys have a good one. Take care.